Imagine you were watching a small cybersecurity and defense contractor quietly improve its finances year after year with straight consistency. I'm talking about revenue rising, losses shrinking, debt disappearing completely. Well, just so you know, that's exactly the type of position and the type of things that Castellum CTM is doing. After the company releases 2025 unaudited financial results, the this creates the type of question whether or not is this the beginning of a real turnaround for Castellum, or is it still too early to get excited? In this video, you and I are going to be breaking down the key numbers within Castellum CTM, what management had to say, and what you should be watching going forward. If you enjoy videos like this and you enjoy the type of breakdowns that we do in this channel, please feel free to subscribe to my channel and feel free to check out my free InvestQ community where we do multiple breakdowns like this in stock tickers like Castellum CTM and numerous other growth companies as well. Now, to really understand why these results matter, you need to look at where Castellum has been and what it's been doing for the fiscal year of 2025. Over the last few years, the company itself has been focused on building a cybersecurity and electronic warfare platform that works with government contracts within the US military and other defense contractors. Now, like small companies like Castellum CTM, they also have the things that Castellum CTM has been dealing with and what they've been accomplishing is and what they've had to deal with overall and had to find ways to overcome is operating losses, reducing their debt, and the challenge of growing revenue consistently year over year. So these are the big things that that investors like me and you were looking for to see if they could improve these financial data points. And to be honest, they have been doing a very good job in the fiscal year of 2025, which I'm going to be breaking down in this video. First thing that I do want to cover is revenue growth. Now, as we see here in the article, it does show you here that revenue for 2025 increased to 52.9 million, representing an 8.1, a staggering 15.2% increase year over year compared to the 44.8 million in 2024. So right away, you can see that the business itself is still growing, which is a very important signal for investors looking at smaller technology and defense companies. Now, even though they're still scaling, they're not on the level of something like you know, a Palantir or, Nvidia in terms of revenue, not even close to that. They're not even on the same scale as something that's still speculative like Big Bear AI. But nevertheless, revenue has continued to improve year over year, and this company is known for having very good financial discipline. Their operating loss, that has been showing improvement because when you look at the article itself, in 2024, as you can read here, Castellum CTM had an operating loss of about 7.2 million in the year of 2024. And that had a dramatic improvement all the way here, as you could see, improved 2.8 million as the in 2025, fiscal year 2025, operating loss was only at 4.4 million. That is a staggering improvement compared to the fiscal year of 2024. Now, when you look at the Oh, my apologies, guys. I read that wrong. It improved to 2.8 million compared to 7.2 million in 2024. So it improved 4.4 million year over year. My bad. I read that a little bit wrong. But when you look at the trend, it does show that the company is getting closer to profitability. And if you guys do recall, not for Q4, but for Q3 of 2025, that was the first profitable quarter they had. Now, this is just the unaudited financial results, so this is the 10K. I haven't seen what the 10Q is for quarter four, so maybe it was back-to-back quarterlies where there was profitability, but nevertheless, they still do improve because they had their first historical profitable quarter in the history of the company of Castellum CTM. Now, not only were those improving indicators for the stock financially, they also we got to talk about the net loss and how that improved. Net loss to common shareholders for 2025 was 2.5 million, a 7.6 million improvement from a net loss of 10.1 million in 2024. That 7.6 million year over year improvement is staggering, and it's another indicator as to why this is the potential year And if not this year, maybe 1, 2, or 3 years in the future, they are starting to signal signs of a turnaround. If you're looking at the bigger picture overall, when it does come to Castellum CTM, I personally am a bigger picture thinker. The company isn't profitable yet, but losses are shrinking significantly. And again, I'm the type of long term investor that prefers to get in before the getting gets good and people start to make this more mainstream and people start getting more involved. I like to get in before the hype is there already. But they do have to show signs of improvement, which they continue to do quarter over quarter and year over year. Now, before we do go any further, I want to hear from you specifically. Do you think Castellum CTM is starting to show signs of improvement, and do you think we're at a sign? The signs are showing turnaround within the stock itself. Let me know in the comments below because I always do. I always do reply to all the comments I get in my comment section, as I love to get you guys. I love to see exactly what it is you guys are thinking so I can get involved with you, and I want you guys to feel involved within this community as well, as I do love every single one of you. Now, in terms of EBITDA, the improvement for that's another thing that we did have to take into consideration. You had to look at because they did mention that right here. Castellum reported that EBITDA was at 1 million for the fiscal year of 2025, and it was a point two it was a 0.2 million% improvement compared to the fiscal year of 2024, which was only at point 0.8 million. It's not a massive jump, but again, still improvement. They're still scaling and they still continue to stack each win on top of each other slowly and steadily, and they're building a foundation for the company where eventually the bricks lay the foundation and then they get a catalyst in the future where it skyrockets to the moon. And then eventually I do believe that within the next 3 to 5 years the stock will be double digits. That is long term, but I personally believe that it is possible in 3 to 5 years for this stock to be $10 plus. Maybe not this year, maybe not the year after, but 3 to 5 years, I do see that being a possibility. Now, the cash position, that also did improve as well because the total cash increased by 2.6 million during the fiscal year of 2025 to 14.9 million as of December 31st, 2025, compared to 12.3 million as of December 31st, 2024. Now, what also is good with that is they also do state, you're going to see it in some of the in a little bit of the article below where it does mention for forward-looking statements, and the quotes specifically quoted by David Bell, the Chief Financial Officer of Castellum, and the CEO Glenn Ives. You're gonna see how they specifically mention how they continue to improve their financials, and with the type of position, the cash position they're in, and the type of backlog they have, and the continued improvement in revenue year over year, they are not in the state where they just have to focus on survival. Because as you and me know, even in our personal lives, when we're only focusing on survival and we view money as a way to just pay our expenses and to pay our bills month after month, there's no room for growth. They specifically state, in fact, David Bell did mention that if you read here, it says, this progress has allowed us in to invest more heavily in our business development operations. Now, what that states is they have a growth mindset and they're not just in a survival mode like other companies are in that specific type of position. They continue to hit quarter over quarter and they continue to grow. They have the mindset to continue to grow for the foreseeable future in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Now, what's also awesome, and as you do know, they had an article in relation to this. I believe it was February 9th, when they talk about their outstanding debt, the remaining balance they had at the end of the year 2025, fiscal year 2025, as of December 31st. It was at 0.4 million versus the 10.7 million as of December 31st in fiscal year 2024. That's staggering improvement, and they almost reduced it. Now, if you guys do recall, I posted about this, and they do have it in an article previously, earlier in February of this year. They completely slashed the entire debt. They have no debt as of this point, and they still do have a good amount of cash still on hand. Now, now, in regards to management itself, going back to what I said earlier, Chief Financial Officer David Bell, the highlights in regards to this quote he has right here, it says, it's in relation to the improving financial position and explain the stronger balance sheet that has allowed Castellum to invest heavily in business development. Just reiterating that real quick. And CEO Glenn Ives, this statement right here does mention how several things could shape the future. And the main bullet points I would like to emphasize with this quote right here is he's proud of the continued organic growth. He's proud of the major prime contract wins they had, the big three ones that they had as of last year, the elimination of debt. Oh, and we did also have one earlier this year. Don't forget about that one. The plans to execute phase three so that they can complete an accredited acquisition within the next 12 months. Those are the main bullet points I want to cover. He doesn't directly mention phase three, but in the previous article that talks about phase three is when they said they paid off their remaining debt. That's where he specifically mentions phase three, but he's basically mentioning it without full actually stating the word phase three in the quote. But that's basically in correlation with phase three. And overall, what I do like to hear with Glenn Ives, not only does he talk about the financials, phase three, all that, I believe that a business grows not just because you execute. Execution is important, a plan is important, all those things are important. But in anything you see in life, if your heart isn't in the business and your soul isn't into it, you're not going to be putting as much effort compared to if your heart and soul is in the business and what it is you do on the day to day. Because again, if you just do things just for the money and you're not proud of your biggest assets, which is your employees, which Glenn Ives does state how proud he is of the employees he does have on his staff, on his payroll. If you're not investing and truly proud of the people that help you improve the business, you're not going to be growing, in my opinion. That's how I view it. And I do think Glenn Ives does share a similar type of thought process in relation with his employees. Now, real quick, to summarize, I do want to just give a quick statement and a quick summary of everything I've mentioned. When you need to take a step back and you need to look at the bigger picture, and when you do that, you start to realize that several trends do start to appear. You got revenue growth, you got shrinking losses, improving EBITDA, more cash on hand, and now no debt whatsoever. The combination suggests that the company is moving towards a much stronger financial position. But the real question investors need to be asking, can Castellum CTM continue to grow their revenue? Can they eventually reach profitability, not just over one quarter, but consistently quarter over quarter and year over year? My opinion, I do think so with all the data points that we do have at our disposal, and that's my personal opinion. Because again, I'm not a financial advisor. You got to make your own decisions in relation to the stock market, and you got to do your thorough research as well. Now, in conclusion, the company can continue landing contracts and executing its strategy. These financial improvements could be an early sign of a turnaround. I do think this is the start of the turnaround. In fact, I think they've already been turning the company around throughout the fiscal year of 2025, even without just this article alone. But when it comes to small cap stocks like Castellum CTM, they're always risk and uncertainty because, again, to be fair, we still are below the dollar range, and we still, from a technical analysis perspective and from a price action perspective, obviously investors are a little bit worried. However, me, with all the data points at our disposal, I am comfortable in sitting with where we are in the stock with Castellum CTM, and I continue to add to my position. And in relation to risk of delisting worries, again, because I do believe we have reached the 30-day period where the NASDAQ can start to give Castellum warnings. Again, that's just the warning itself. They don't just immediately delist it. But I personally believe that we are going to be sitting okay with Castellum CTM as of now. Because again, they have to analyze everything within the stock itself, and I don't think that we're gonna be having to worry about delisting as of yet. And I do believe we can get it up and above the dollar range in relation to, to meet the minimum requirements for the Nasdaq. Now, if you did find this breakdown helpful and you want more updates on small cap tech and defense companies like Castellum CTM, please feel free to like and subscribe and share with other like-minded investors that are also interested. And speaking of like-minded investors, please feel free again to join my free community with other like-minded investors. And if you need help making better decisions with your portfolio, feel free to check out the Prophecy AI app, which is very beneficial and helpful and helps you make better decisions from a technical analysis and a fundamental analysis perspective. So guys, InvestQ out. Happy to be here. I love all of you. And again, stay safe, stay green, and let's keep making money. Take care, guys.